Let me ask you a question, David. What do you think ultimately are the motivations in this scenario, assume it's true, of a Bill Gates and a Fauci? Do they believe somehow they are doing good? Is this a eugenics play? Is it a money play? Is it a power play? Or is it just what is it?
So I made the statement in Plandemic, and I would say this in echoing that comment all the time. I think that humanity is fundamentally good. I think it's fundamentally not broken. And I think that what happens is that a number of people start making a series of incremental, expedient decisions in the moment without considering the consequence. I think that when Ralph Baric started putting coronaviruses together in his lab in the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill, I think he really was just asking some interesting questions about coronavirus. And I think when he figured out he could amplify certain parts of the pathogenicity of those viruses, he thought, I wonder what else you could do with it. And I think each one of the steps that he took and each one of the funding checks that NIAID, Anthony Fauci wrote, each one of them, probably in isolation, Brian, was dangerously close to almost innocent. Where it's just like, oh yeah, that'd be the logical next question you could ask. But nobody ever put a break on the process and said, hey, let's pause for a moment. Let's see where we are. Let's see how many of these little expediencies have led us to a place we shouldn't be, right? When the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill in 2014 and 15 impanels an ethics committee, which they did, to say, let's allow the Wuhan virus, which was taken from minors who actually had all the COVID symptoms in 2013, right? When the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill Ethics Committee says, yeah, let's go ahead and take that virus and let's combine it with some other coronaviruses and see what happens. Somebody somewhere should have gone, hey guys, the NIH said this was unethical and possibly illegal. Maybe we should not ask the next question of how bad can we make coronavirus? But nobody asked that question because all along, no one was asking the questions. And that's why I say in the film, and that's why I say in this conversation, this is a failure of each and every one of our humanities, where we see the little incremental erosion and we go, well, it's not that big of a deal. But the problem is the cumulative effect of all of those expedient decisions is absolutely horrific. And what we as a population aren't doing. And by the way, part of the reason why I'm so enthusiastic to be on your show is you are the exception. You're getting the word out there. You and Dell and some other folks are getting the word out there that says you can't let ignorance be the defense for it. You know, if you don't care, I get it. But if you don't care because you couldn't have known, that's a problem. So when you have these conversations, that becomes super important. And the question then is, Anthony Fauci and Bill Gates and Ralph Baric, these three people, without question, are in fact violating laws. We absolutely know the laws they're violating. Now, they may have a justification for violating those laws. They may have all kinds of rationales for it. But under the legal structure of the way the law is written, they're violating laws. That's a statement of fact. Now, if they have a supervening moral impulse that says, we're breaking this law because it's in the better interest of humanity, that's a conversation that I'd even be willing to have, right? Because laws change. Social values change. I'm down with that. That's what a democratic process is about. But I can tell you that intent is, in fact, a function of whether or not you have integrity. If you want to tell me that it's time for us to change how we do public health and how we look at the world, let's have an open dialogue about it. But in that open dialogue, let's not lie. Let's not silence opposition. Let's not make sure that anybody who states anything that is even remotely controversial is silenced, because that belies what really is motivating this. Evil needs darkness, and it suffers in the light. And guess what? This is light, And just because of this interview, we screwed up somebody's plans because they were hoping the October surprise would be a surprise. But I just screwed it up.